go to YouTube. And that should kick live
Balancing
soon.
this, I actually have a mod I need to push while we're going to be streaming here.
Oh, I actually gotta talk to someone to go over my XML because I have stuff that was working and now is not working.
Oh.
I had like
How crazy
solar.
have you gotten?
What's that?
How crazy have you gotten with yours?
No, nothing really. Like I made solar panels craftable with advanced engineering level 5.
Yeah.
I
Hmm.
made concrete barriers craftable.
Oh, a lot of the progression names have changed. So if you haven't updated that stuff,
Okay.
so that's
Since
usually the first thing you
it
check.
worked earlier in A19, so I don't know why it's not working now, but I will check that. Maybe
Yeah.
that's what
If
it
you have
is.
a UI mod, there was the I think the tool belt came in one of the Alpha 19 like .xyz updates.
No, the only UI mod I sort of have is bad players with his escape menu mod. That's it. I don't mess with anything else.
Man, I gotta get around to doing that. I keep forgetting.
It's info panel.
I mean, I can send it to you if he's okay with it. I have it on download in zip file somewhere.
Sweet.
Yeah, I'm just not gonna update it.
Hmm.
If it breaks, it's you. It's
Oh
on you.
yeah, no, I would probably just tear it all apart and rebuild it anyway.
If it breaks, I'm fucked because I'm not gonna end up looking at it.
You'll break it apart and put it in your own mod anyway, Karma, right?
Yeah, I fold everything into one big old mod because it's it's leaner that way. It's nice and clean, and I can find shit.
And the server loads faster and is more stable.
Exactly. I'm all about the
actually have to
reduced
do that.
lines.
All right, so I guess we should actually start and get on topic. So server management tools. Who wants to start?
Are we talking bots or like actual stuff running on the server?
This okay. So server management tools will cover like say R.a.t, Botman, CSMM, and then the API mods like CPM. Botman has an APM. Panda, which I haven't used yet, so I really can't say much about that. So BCM, the stuff like that. So server management covers both the actual manager and any accompanying API mods that you could use with it or do use with it.
Oh. I guess I'll start. I use R.a.t, Botman, CPM, CSMM.
All right, so
What
I'm
do you
gonna.
have doing each of them? That for me, like, because I only use Botman, so I would love to hear what the other ones are doing that Botman doesn't
Well,
do.
Silent is here, so he could probably explain the differences, but it's a lot. Like, Botman is like a click and go kind of solution, but if you want to do anything like anything advanced, CSMM is where it's at.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
Like,
let's. Sorry to interrupt, but to kind of clarify a little bit more, what features of Botman do you use?
And is it just the Botman mod or the whole complete Botman?
the whole thing. Like, I
Okay,
use everything.
so what? Okay, so what do you use from that is not in CSMM? Because you said you use that too.
Nothing. Nothing. CSMM has everything that Botman has. Botman just does some of the stuff easier and better.
Like, can you expand on that? Like, give
Yeah,
us an example.
so teleporting, homes, all the stuff really to do with the players specifically, Botman does better and easier.
So,
Setting up the shop.
so you
Sorry,
say
go ahead.
better and easier. What do you mean? Can you like explain how it's better and easier using the Botman versus the CSMM?
Yeah, well, okay, so setting waypoints, it's just slash set WP and then the waypoint name. To
Mm-hmm.
set home, it's set home. Uh, it's out of the box. I think with CSMM, you actually have to do a bit more setting up to get it working.
Well,
And for people,
for the at least the private teleports, the command's just slightly different. Cat is set up because he didn't want it to be exactly like Batman. Yeah, Batman. I'm Batman. Like Batman. So he does his is trigger, which you can select. I use slash on mine because I used to use Botman and it's just easier to convert it to slash. So it's set tele, SETTELE space, and then whatever you want to call it. So it's slash settele space home or base or trader or whatever. So for the private ones, to me, it's a little bit more typing. But then when you go to use it, it's slash tele and then location. So it's a little bit more typing, so I understand that. The waypoints are a little bit different. I actually created one to Trader Joel earlier on my new map, and I had to do that as a custom command. Versus,
Oh, you can do locations like for Botman, yeah.
yeah, just slash WP and then the name. So that, yeah, okay, I understand how that's a little bit easier. So continue on, Peter.
I'll just go to my panel real quick. The reset regions, it does a little bit differently. I won't say they're better. It's just done differently. The chat colors, CPM uses CGC. It works a little bit better on Botman. The economy stuff is a little bit easier. Gimme works out of the box, but CSMM is more customizable. In my mind, it's better, but I still use the Botman one. Locations on Botman are much easier. So it's just location add, location name, and then you can either use the panel to set the parameters for it, or you can do it in game. Donors is easier, but it doesn't integrate with Discord like CSMM does.
Right, because in CSMM you can link a role in your Discord, like a donor role, and then have a donor role in CSMM, and they would get
Correct,
benefits
yes.
from that. Yeah.
That would be cool.
So we know what you use Botman for. What do you use CSMM for?
Oh, well, that's a whole nother story. Okay, so I use the Advanced Claims Creator
Well,
for
that's
starters.
CPM. That's not CSMM. That's actually CPM.
Yep.
Catalysm did the user interface for that for the web, but actually I think Cata created that. Did they create
Yeah.
that? But
Yeah,
now
I
it's in,
understand that, but
yeah.
I roll it all in together.
Okay.
The next biggest thing is the custom commands and the custom hooks. So I currently have 52 custom commands and
Whew.
42 custom hooks.
Damn, that's a lot. I'm
And
going to talk to you about custom hooks because I haven't read the documentation on that. I probably should since I'm on support.
it is easy. Like, it can run any console command. There's a couple that it has problems with, like giving people spectator mode. It has problems with that because you kind of have to be able to specify which player you're giving it to. Usually it's just like, the example is give plus. So the command would be give plus, player name, entity ID, or whatever, then the item name, then the quantity. And when a player types in like question mark the name of the command, it will run the custom command. So it'll give them all the stuff. It's really useful for admin kits. And right now we have wipe kits. So when the wipe's coming up, players who have donated, we ask them what they want. And then we just make a custom command, and then when they're ready in game, they just type the command and everything just gets booted into their inventory without an admin needing to be there to give it to them.
And then you said you use CPM as well, and that's the give plus command and stuff like that. And what do you use R.a.t for? Is that for your backups, or do you use that for other stuff as well?
Okay, so R.a.t is mostly used to keep the server alive after a reboot. It's then used for backups because I haven't found. I do the I have a PowerShell script on my PvP server, and that works fine, but sometimes it skips regions if players are in them. So R.a.t works better for that. And just a quick and easy way of changing the server config, it provides that. And for changing worlds, it's a drop-down box. But that's pretty much
for changing what?
The world.
Oh, the world. Okay.
And also we use it for managing admin permissions. So we have a bunch of moderators, and we can just quickly change their level here, or give them, or remove commands from their list.
Now, have you had any instances where Botman and CSM and R.a.t, there's been any kind of conflict between them?
Yes. Yeah. So there are some things that they do that are the same. They do it in a different way, but you need to go through each one and decide which manager you want to perform which job. So Botman is handling the vote side. The CSMM one is turned off. Things like that. And also you can run the same prefix, but we've changed it just to to stop one bot looking at another bot's commands. That's another thing that goes wrong with it is sometimes CSMM will try and hook into botman commands. So you have to be careful about that.
Yeah, you need the different triggers.
Yeah.
Yeah, by
But
default.
some of this,
Mhm.
so that's why you need to change the prefix.
So, since you use all three, how would you rank them? I mean, if you want to stay neutral on that, I totally understand. So you don't hurt
Well,
anybody's feelings. But I'm just
it,
curious, since you use all three, and I mean, they all
it
have like their own
depends.
special roles.
It depends. For you, I would go CSMM. For like maybe 80% of the other server owners, I would go botman. Unless you want to do something more specific, more advanced than CSMM. That's why we use both. Just so we have the mix of it just works and we have a mix of we can do advanced stuff, we can do handlebars, we can do custom commands, we can do all of that. We can set up whatever we want the server to do, we can do it with CSMM.
Now, are you self-hosting either Botman or CSMM, or are you just subscribing to both?
We're subscribing to both.
Okay.
For the CSMM, you get one free server, right?
Well,
No,
he,
Or is
actually you
that
don't.
or
No,
they,
oh,
you don't get any.
yeah, back
You can
in. Go ahead.
sorry, you can self-host as many as you want for free, but if you
Mhm.
want them to host it, you have to pay for it, and you get 5 servers for the one
Ah,
subscription.
gotcha.
So yeah, it used to be free, and what happened was back in February, Catalysm decided that he was going to end the free usage because the U.S. server was being so bogged down from all the free servers,
Mhm.
and he was spending all his time in not developing but trying to optimize it so it wouldn't have the issues that it would come up from all the extra free servers. So
Oh, sure. Yeah, I mean, makes
yeah,
sense.
so he went to a donator only status for using CSM.app. So for using his website with the program. So the minimum was like $5, and I think that gets you a couple of servers. And then he's got, I think, 3 or 4 different levels. I think it's 5, 10, 15, and 20. And 20 is basically, I think, unlimited servers. Your data retention for like player tracking and inventory tracking, I think, is like 2 weeks. Um, and then the one below that, I think the data tracking is for like a week, and I think it's like 10 servers or something like that. I'd have to go back and double check just to check my numbers. But
Mm.
it is, if you want to self-host it, you can do so for free. Like I self-host it, since I wrote that tutorial up on the 70AC website, how to run it on Unraid. Now, if you have a decent knowledge of Linux, you would have no problem getting everything configured and whatnot. Kata does actually have a container, what people call Dockers. So Docker Hub has a container on there that you can download it to your Linux and just set stuff up that way. You still have to link in the other supporting software, kind of like how Smegzer has the mud client for the bot and IRC and stuff like that. I think there was a few other things you had to download for Botmate, if from what I remember. So
Just the mod, it requires allox Yeah,
Well-
just the mod and alerts, but it doesn't need either of them to actually work, but it does need them to get more advanced features.
Well, I'm talking about actually self-hosting it yourself. I used to self-host
Oh,
Botman.
right.
So I used to run Botman on my server that ran 7 days when I was just doing Linux. So I had to have the mud client installed. I had to have, I think it was MariaDB installed, and a few other supporting software packages.
Python.
So I always had issues adding a new server. I always had to ask Smegs for help, and I'm just like I'm following the steps, and I don't know why it's not working. So Smeg at one point just had remote access to my server, so he could log in and do it. And then I would just donate some money his way because
Yeah, he has full access to all of our servers. Like, he's like the super owner. Like, he just comes in, does whatever he wants, and leaves.
It makes it easier, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm gonna give myself admin 0 right now.
Right.
Like, okay, do what
Yeah.
you need to do.
Yeah.
I'll
So
be honest, I have no idea how the bottom works on the backside.
Yeah.
It's always Smig's always taking care of it. Obviously, I mean, I inherited it from my server from him, so I'm like, okay, just you do whatever, just do whatever.
yeah. So I mean, I've used R.a.t. I've done support for R.a.t. on the forums. Same thing for Botman, and same thing for CSMM. So I've used all three. I'm out of touch with Botman because I haven't used it in a few years. So I'm glad Smegs has moved over to an API over telnet. Make things a little bit easier for not pinging the server every few seconds with the telnet.
And faster.
Yeah, it
It's
helps
much
a lot with the FPS.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you have to constantly reach out to telnet to do this and this and this and this, it just drags the server down. But I mean that's all we had for a while.
Yeah.
I have been talking and saying things, and apparently have double muted myself. First, I had my Discord muted, and then apparently the switch on my microphone was also muted.
Good job.
I figured you
think
were
everybody
working.
was super rude?
So I'm just like, I've been commenting and saying things and poking in, and apparently none of it went through.
Apparently you pulled a
no,
Naz.
it's not.
Oh. Yeah, we worked a lot on switching from the telnet to the API. Smegs and I did a lot of work on that with Alpha 16.
I thought his
that
API
really did
didn't.
help.
I thought his API didn't come out until Alpha 17.
That's when it was finished.
Oh, okay.
But we were working on it at the tail end of Alpha 16. We were doing a lot of troubleshooting with databases and unusual characters and stuff like that too. It was a lot of fun. We ran Botman on all of our servers back then. And we were self-hosting. And yeah, Smegs and IHOPE had direct access to our box so they could jump on and fix stuff because stuff broke a lot.
Mm-hmm. One thing I still do like that the Smegs bot would actually have some snarky comments every now and then.
Yes, lots of them.
I found that entertaining. It's a small feature, but I like that.
When you kill yourself, yes, definitely.
When a player tries to run an admin command, like over and over and over again, it's really funny.
Oh, I haven't seen that one before.
They test as player and just start writing out commands.
I like it because like people will, tell the bot that, "Hi bot, love you." Oh, love you too. So I mean, I have players talk to the bot all the time.
We have that turned off.
Glory for Azkabar! Or whatever it is.
I added some of the commands like that into R.a.t.
Yeah.
No, BP, are you just solely using R.a.t?
I use the Botman mod too for reset regions.
Like the API?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, because I know you were working with Trekken on R.a.t for a while. Are you still doing that?
Yep. He's actually written a R.a.t 3, but I don't know how that's gonna go yet. He was talking to me at the yesterday, and he's like, I don't know if I want to do any more on it. I was like, no.
Yeah, I know. Well, he was. I mean, you got him to do some more work on it because he was done with R.a.t. He's like, yeah, I don't feel like doing it anymore. I kind of want a new project. So I understand that. And I mean, this was when I talked to him a while ago about that. I haven't talked to Trek in a little while. I know he idles in here and whatnot. Maybe we should get him to come on at some point if he
I've
wants
asked.
to.
I've asked him in case he wants to.
Okay.
I'm not a very good salesman.
He doesn't have to be. He just needs to answer questions.
Right.
You can be technical as all you want. You don't have to be a good salesman. BP can take over the sales role because I used to push R.a.t on the forums all the time. And I back when I was very active on the forums before it melted down and they had to redo it and I lost 1,000 or so posts. Still bitter.
Tell me about it.
Do you know
Imagine
how
guppy.
I'm not Guppy Car where I had 50 billion posts of just bullshit.
I was just gonna say, imagine how Guppy felt.
But Guppy still has his Guppy Master title or whatever it is.
I was ahead of him in post for a short bit.
But I dropped several ranks, and I'm like, fuck you guys. I worked hard to get there. So, but yeah, I would be at work, and I just like, well, it's dead. I would just live on the forums. I would keep the forums open, and I would answer questions more than some people. I think, I beat you to a few answers now and again.
You did, and sometimes I don't say anything. I'll see posts, and I'll just say, I'm going to leave this sit for a couple of hours. Because when you respond within 30 seconds of a post
They
all the
expect
time,
that.
they expect that. So, I'll
Taking
just
so
leave
long.
this sit, then somebody else replies. I'm like, yay, it's not just me out here.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I was really sad we had to delete all those posts when we moved the forum over. It was just migrating the database with how big it was going to take literally take 2 weeks. The forum was going to be completely down for 2 weeks in order to do it.
Wow.
We were like, we couldn't have that, so we had to just nuke everything that was from 2018 and older.
I think I joined the forums maybe a week or two after I got the game. I got the game in July of 16, and I think by the end of July, I had joined I was already on the forums. Because I remember when I started to host my own server, or at least publicly, I had an issue of something not starting. I think a lock replied to me on the forums, and he got me going. And I think you helped me with the when I had the too many files open.
Yep, I remember that.
I hate that error.
I still run into it every now and then. I think I'm at 64K right now.
Yeah, I just remember when all right, yeah, let me give it this huge number so I never have to deal with this again. And then when I would have to
For R.a.t.
when I'd have to redo something or had a new Linux install, first thing I did was, all right, let me go change this right now before I even add the server.
Yep. For R.a.t, I had to set it to unlimited for that user account. I think it was insane.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many ways to run it on Linux. You got the LGSM running.
Yep.
Love it.
I run Alex scripts also, but between the two, I like Alex backup with where he's got the Archon command set up. Although I keep saying I want to change that and modify it. I have been working on a script that uses duplicity to make the incremental backups in a similar fashion, but also writes it to a database. So you can track successful backups and storage and whatnot.
Yeah, I love using his script for that. The only thing I didn't like about it, I mean, it's a great script. I love it. But the only thing I wasn't too fond of is if you wanted to do any kind of mods to it, it would affect every server you ran. So it just was a centralized configs, and then if I wanted to tweak the XML or this or that, it affected every server under that.
Mm-hmm.
And
there was a way to work around that, but it required a lot of getting into the things and changing stuff around.
It wasn't easy,
I did that.
So I didn't want to do it.
Yeah, I did that for a bit, but then I found LGSM, and I've been working with the guys over there for a couple of years now, and really have the scripts. tuned up a lot. I wrote the guide for it on the 7DAC website.
Yeah, my next
Uh,
for. Oh, sorry. Continue.
Oh, it's just the way the LGSM scripts work. It's got so many features and it's so quick and easy to use, and you can run multiple instances under one user account, and each one has different configs and mods, or you can run, them all under different user accounts, and it's real flexible.
Yeah, what with me and Flooded, teaming up for hosting servers and whatnot, I went out and found a control panel. I think I posted the link in our staff chat, and it's like brainless.us or something like that. It's called EasyUGCC, and it's a control panel like cPanel or something else for deploying servers.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a 60-day demo license, but I haven't really had time to sit down and dig into it. But with the full license that we have for the demo, they have what's called an auto installer. You just fill out the information and it does the server install and launches it and all that happy stuff. So I'm looking forward to digging into this to see how it works, because it does work on Linux, and you can self-host, and it does have a Windows one, and we have the Windows one installed since we just migrated our servers over to a server 2K19 VM. So something happened where I can't access it via the web right now, so I got to go dig back into that and figure out what happened. Maybe it was a Windows update or something. But just using the control panel and logging in, you can have, it's like, say you set up your 7 days to die servers, and then we have, I don't know who our other 7 days to die admins are. I think Flooded's been doing that recently. But if we had like other admins, then they can just sign in. We can assign them the 7 days to die role, and they only have access to those servers. Same thing for like Empyrean, Conan. They have an auto installer for Squad and Ground Branch, which I don't know if you guys heard of either of those, but they're both. Squad is a military-based shooter where it goes above like being just a first-person shooter. You have a higher overarching rank of being able to talk to the different groups or squads out of all the players on your side, and like, hey, and kind of basically give them orders. You guys go here, you guys go there. So you have, and more of like a resource management as well. Ground Branch is a tactical shooter, and I haven't played it in a few alphas. It's in early access, but man, that shit was hard. I like it, but one of the scenarios I tried, you go into a warehouse, and the AI is good enough where when you go to, like, once you die, it resets, and the guys aren't in the same spot. But you open the door, and boom, you get shot. Or you get a few steps in, and you're already dead. I'm like, damn. A little frustrating, but for tactical realism, that's the game. So I'm looking to set up a server for that and see if anybody bites on that. Because, we're looking new servers to run and deploy through the control panel, which just makes everything easier.
That was a lot.
Yes, it was. I need to get curbed and stop going off on these tangents.
I'm like, I don't know most of what. Okay, let's do best practices for servers. How about that?
Let's go with that. Karma, you can take the lead on
that. Well, I like the one. Was it you, Peter, that mentioned that the reason that you were doing the reset regions was to keep your file sizes smaller?
Not just that, but it helps with the map corruption.
Right. So things to keep your servers running nice and lean. I think we've touched upon it with the mods also, not having 60 different little modlets in there, because that can slow things down.
Yeah, it uses a lot more memory too.
I could not believe I'd seen that was stunning to me, how many mods some people had on their
I saw a thread, I think it was on Steam. This guy had like 100 mods.
Oh my god.
Okay, and he was running into issues with the server running out of RAM all the time and freezing up and stuff like that. So what he did was he merged the mods down. He just merged them together. And then after he got it all done, it was using like half the RAM.
Nice. I have I have my UI mod is separate, but maybe I'll fold that back in because there's really no reason not to do that. Because I was thinking, oh, maybe I should have separate modlets. Nope, I was doing it right from the first, just putting them all into one little thing that's nice and easy.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm gonna get to where I have all of my basic server maintenance mods with respawning cars, with tree
Yep.
changes, and all that stuff. It's just
Oh,
all going to be
right.
a
I need
one
to fold
modlet.
the tree one. I definitely want to get that one and fold that one in because that I've actually had players who get all, butthurt because people have chopped down trees around their bases. And I can't stand the tree farms, so I think I'm gonna implement that one pretty darn soon. Tree
Yeah,
farms, there's one. Don't put your trees next to each other, damn it.
I actually have my
What?
one friend with a tree farm. I popped on the server today and I go out my base and I'm like, what the hell? And he's on.
Oh.
I'm like, dude, limit your trees to maybe like 15
Mhm.
of each type and just
yeah, you don't
do
need that
that.
many trees. I mean, there's no
Mm-mm.
reason to have that much wood. I mean, because by the time you have it, you're not using wood anyway.
Mhm.
Well,
I
you
had
gotta.
one player.
Hmm.
I had one player that like they're one of those Uber players that tries to speed race through the game, and they're trying to think of things to like slow them down, or they're making a whole bunch of food, but they literally had like 800 crop plots, and every time they would log in, the entire server would just like come to a creeping halt
Oh
because it
yeah,
was doing all the calculations for all the different stages. I'm like, stop it! Why would you have that many? Why would you have several hundred crop plots? You don't need that many.
Because I
So that's
can.
another one. Yeah. So having rules about how many crop plots and tree farms, if the trees are right next to each other, that just tanks the entire server.
All right, so here's a
Hopefully they
question.
fix that in 820.
Yeah. How many farm plots does it take to lag the server in one area?
depends on the hardware the server is hosting on.
Well,
Hmm.
I mean,
okay, so
yeah, I mean honestly, because I've seen on some systems where it only takes 25, 40. Some of them it'll be fine until you hit 100 or 150. I mean, and it really depends a lot on how fast the server CPU is.
Do you find that it's
mhm.
helped with having a space in between the crop plots? Like, for a while it was you couldn't have more than like, a dozen crop plots next to each other, or else it was causing some kind of error. That was a
Hmm.
thing for a while, and I don't know if it's gone now.
Yeah, that's been fixed, but we still try
Okay.
to have people keep, a row in between each row of crops.
Well, nothing else keeps them out of different regions and, well, the chunks. That's the word I was looking for.
Well, my one friend is doing the farming, and if I need to curtail him a little bit, it's a good idea. I mean, granted, I'm running on a 3950X, and it has as much RAM as it needs. So, if he needs to, and we always like planning on the roof. So, it's just a matter of
Oh,
how many in a row. Like you said, have rows separated, but like how many plots? Like 6, 10, or is that still under the hardware guidelines?
yeah,
I think 5.
I don't know. I mean, on our servers, we were running, the rows were 20 long and 10 wide off the top of my head.
Per
And
plot?
we didn't have any. It was, yeah, I mean,
Okay.
20 long, and then 10 rows wide, but it was every other row was not crop.
Okay, so it was
So you only had a max of 100 plants.
right, and it was like 5. There was like 5 free rows.
Right,
So it'd be like row of 20 space, row of 20 space.
right.
Okay. That's not too bad.
Yeah.
And I mean, 100 plants.
Yeah.
I mean, that gives you more than enough room for what, 5 or 6 of each different type of plant you can plant. And it's not like you need more than that, especially since it's once they're down, it's infinite number of items. You just
Right.
have to wait in between harvests.
Could be part of the player economies. Like for my server, we have a hub area where I have places that players can have their own little shops and whatnot. So I do know that some people kind of focus on creating a lot of food for the other
Yeah, we've got a
players.
guy that does that on all of our servers.
Mm. It's always at least one.
There's always we always have the one guy that gives everybody everything, and he makes teleports to all the traders and shares them. And then we have the other guys that they just want to build a village. They want to take up an entire region or 2 regions and just build a village.
I actually like that kind of idea. Like I've been toying with the idea is if there were players out there, and then maybe I'll do this for A20.
It gets laggy as fuck.
Well, I'm not talking a whole region, but I like the aspect of like a role play server.
Hmm.
Hmm.
You know, like if you're gonna be bad guys, I'll leave it, enabled where you can kill other people. If you're gonna be bad guys, you need to denote yourself as we're assholes. So, we're gonna come and try and rage or whatever, and it's just part of, well, you have player bandits versus AI bandits. So I always like the idea of an RP server, and when Outlaws of the Old West was being made, I wanted to do it with that, but
I had so much hope for that game, but it ended up not.
well, the parent company made their money and decided we're done with this.
Yes, I know. It's just I hate that. I was ready for it. I was waiting for it, but then there were so many other games that were tanking on release at that point in time that I'm like, I'll just give it a couple of months and wait for it. And then it was like they just took the money and ran. And I was like, well, fuck.
Yeah, I mean, I still have it, and it's probably on Steam sale right now, but there's no progress. I wish someone else would buy it and continue it.
That happened to another one I was following. I was about to pick up on it again, but I forget which one it was now.
So
It was like they were like they had an idea and their ideas were great, but they were kind of fucked up implementing them, and then they ran out of money and they went under. And then somebody else bought it, and they're like, "Hey, we can do this."
Star Citizen?
No, I can't. No, not Star Citizen. God, no.
That's a money. That's a money pit right there.
I've been following it since they started, and I had great hopes. I play X Rebirth now.
On topic.
Yeah. All right.
Anyway, yeah, true. I do need to run because I have to start logging into work and do other things. The work has been really heinous lately, so I will catch the rest of this on the recording.
Alrighty.
All right.
Laters.
Hello.
All right. So, what other practices do you guys employ?
Server
break it.
restarts.
Yes. How often do you do yours, Naz?
Every 6 hours.
Now, you're on Windows or Linux?
Windows.
Yeah, that's what I usually would do if my server was popular, is every 6 hours. I would do
I had to
mine.
drop down to every 4 hours for a while.
I
We
do
had to go down to 2.
2. Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it got really bad. Like, people were fucking up the world, and that's why we're changing stuff this time.
Yeah, I would set mine to auto at midnight, 6 a.m., noon, and 6 p.m. And then, have the server warnings come up like, hey, server restart coming soon. Coming to a server near you.
That's what I was doing with mine, and I changed it to every 24.
Well, if you're doing Linux, 24 is, fine, but Windows,
Right.
I mean, if it's busy, if it's not too busy, like I did my first restart today, and I had it up for a few days already, and I'm like, and that's only because I was messing with my modlet that I have, and I wanted to see, like, why ain't this shit working? I need to restart. So it's just me and my one friend at one point. The other guy was playing, jumped off. I'm like, alright, let me restart this real quick, and, my shit that I have craftable is not craftable. But, so yeah, server restarts, Linux, once a day you're probably good. Maybe twice if your server's pretty busy. Windows, if your server's busy, every, 6 hours. If it's super busy, every 2. What else do we have for practices?
Don't change the time. It's bad.
Yeah, don't do set
Yeah.
time.
You go
Don't
forward,
change
just
the
not back.
That's a good distinction. Going forward, not backwards.
Yeah, forward is fine. Just don't ever go back. It'll fuck up your server and you'll have to wipe.
Amazing what that small little thing will do.
Yeah, I
Right.
mean, it did work well at one point and didn't screw everything up, but now whatever changes they made, forget it.
It even messes up single player, which is so funny.
Oh man, yeah,
It's impressive.
yeah, it used to be a good tool, and now it's not.
Yeah,
There's a couple things that were removed or annoying that we don't have anymore.
set times just become a bad word now.
Not the word.
What other things? Comment, why don't you share what you do for best practices?
Oh, did comment pop in? I didn't hear anybody join.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
server management stuff.
I was the one who asked for that, and I missed the first half of this.
That was
Oh,
good information.
Well, if you have some questions, we can answer them. I mean, it's not, it's not hardline. Now we're on to this topic. We can't go back. You can't use the set time tool in this podcast.
Oh.
So if you have questions, just feel free to ask.
So I was really interested in what everybody's thoughts were on, or opinions were on different server management tools, because right now I'm using Botman, and it just seems like there's a lot of complexity to it, and some of it just seems unnecessary from my perspective. So it's not like, especially since you're only using like 10% of the commands, really. So it seems like not super user friendly from my perspective, and also like the whole panel situation hosting from New Zealand, there's that little bit of lag that's kind of annoying.
You can change it to Canada, I think.
To be honest,
Alright.
I don't use the panel myself. I use the IRC, but mostly because that's how I've always done it, so that's how I do it.
Right.
And I can
And-
do it on my phone.
Yes. So I have been getting into that a little bit more, but and then I don't know, maybe it's bad practice, but I've also been just adjusting the XML directly.
Well, you should, if you're going to make
Well, those are
XML,
separate, yeah.
if you're going to do XML adjustments, just create a little modlet to do the changes
Yeah.
you want to do. Because this way, when, A20 comes out and all those changes you just made, and if they change any of the XML files in any way, then you have to go back and edit all those files again. So,
Oh yeah, no, I meant specifically with like the Botman
okay.
.config.
Okay. I haven't used Botman in several years, so I'm not familiar with the panel. I'm not familiar with the Botman API. I've been using CSMM for probably the last 2 to 3 years. So basically, probably
You
when
can ask for
A17
help.
came out.
We're over on the Botman group. We're all pretty active in helping people, so you can ask. And talking about the complexity, well, CSMM is much more complex than Botman.
In terms of what, because I should say that initially what we tried to do was, we were actually planning on just hosting the Botman, our own bot in house, using the links and all the install guides on Botman's website, and it just seemed like it required a lot of different resources working in tandem. So, we just didn't want to go through that trouble.
Yeah, I actually have self-hosted Botman a few years ago, and I actually had to have Smeg help me at some point because I would get stuck. I'm following the guide, and I don't know if the guide's still the same as it was back then, if there any changes have been made. I think it was written originally by some guy, Raven something. If that's still up on the website, I don't know if it's been changed, altered, or updated or whatnot. But like, I went through all the steps and I still couldn't get it to work. And I don't know if that was just me or the steps themselves, like if something got missed. But whenever I tried to add an additional server, forget it. I followed the steps exactly, and I still had issues. So I don't know how complicated it is, if it's still that complicated. I know going in and just adding the different software was pretty easy. I mean, sudo
Right.
apt-get install, and then whatever the packages were. And then you had to make sure your Linux was up to date and everything. That, me, it was more like actually doing the configuration of the bot and getting the modlet to work, and everything else is where I ran into trouble. I know with CSMM, there's multiple ways you can donate and just use it from the site. You can self-host it, and there are instructions to set it up yourself on Linux. It uses Redis, it uses Sales, MariaDB, and then the software itself. I think it's only 3, maybe NPM. NPM is in there somewhere. And so maybe like 4 dependencies. I could be wrong. Because I host mine on my R.a.t server. So I had one of the people who makes the containers for R.a.t put CSM into a container that's compatible with R.a.t, and I've worked with them back and forth to make sure things stay compatible and up to date, in case something breaks. Kata also has on Docker Hub an image of just the software. You still need to install the dependencies, and he has a one-click or a simple installer if you want to do it through DigitalOcean, which I think is like $10 a month through DigitalOcean to self-host it, so you don't actually have to host it on your own machine. But I'm sure if you needed help, like BP, BP said that you can go onto their Discord or wherever their forum or chat area is and get help that way. What about it makes it using it overcomplicated for you or complex?
Well, I mean, to be honest, a lot of this is more from like one of my partner's perspectives, but it just seemed like it required a lot of different systems having to, gosh, I haven't stared at that install guide in a little bit.
Well,
but...
okay, so I don't mean from like the install point. Like I understand the complexity of that, but I meant as a usage.
Oh no, usage is fine. Using it is pretty good, and it's what I've been used to for like the past I don't know, 8 or 9 months, something like that. So like using Botman is pretty nice. Having it in game and all that stuff, like that's pretty easy. Like usability wise, I don't have any complaints. But initially the plan was to host or install our own bot for a server manager, and we wanted to try it with Botman, and that just didn't work out the way that we wanted it to.
Okay, so the installation is what is complex and complicated, but not necessarily the usage.
No, yeah, usage is fine, albeit sometimes it gets a little wacky, like oh, you know what? Today is a perfect example. So I just did a server wipe, and I'm pretty sure I loaded everything in correctly, but and I reloaded the bot and did the the restart bot command to wipe all the player information after a wipe, but it's still reading our new map as the old map.
You have to download your new map. So I have to go to panel.
Yep.
Let me just see. So it's panel, reset regions and prefabs.
Right. Yeah, and then the little icon on the top right corner.
Yeah, you download it. It takes a while. It depends on the size.
Right.
And you have to keep it on that page. If it doesn't finish, it won't update the map.
So I've tried doing that before as well, and the last time I tried doing it, it got up to like 64%, and then it just stopped there.
Yeah, it does that. It's a known bug. I think there's something on there on the Botman forum about it. You just have to search for it, and you'll get your solution. Because I'm in the same boat right now. Like I've been doing that in Visit Map because I'm wiping right now, and it's still on the original map. It hasn't fully downloaded.
Oh, okay. Yeah, honestly, like otherwise, like Botman has been great, so I like a lot of the functionality that it does provide. But just being on this Discord, I see the 4 or 5 other options that are available, so I was kind of curious as to checking those out. I did read up a little bit on CSMM, so that seemed like a good way to go. But
that Panda looks very interesting. It's not there yet, but it could be a real competitor to Botman.
But it's almost there.
Well, not really.
I mean, soon.
No, it's always almost there.
Right.
Naz, you were gonna say something?
I was just saying, coming soon.
Yeah.
Coming soon.
Couple
Next
days, it'll be
year,
ready. That was a week ago.
A20, and then they'll have to rewrite the code for it. But it'll
Oh,
come.
Well, the one of the things I like about CSMM is it just requires a locks or Alex, whatever,
Yeah.
however you pronounce it. You know, you just need
Mhm.
his server fixes and then it works. So, I don't know if Smegs is going to have to recode anything in his API or in the bot, in the bot itself. Because he, uses other dependencies.
To be
now,
fair, it should have CPM too.
what should have CPM?
CSMM.
Well, yeah. Okay, so Kata didn't want anything, didn't want any, what's the word, dependencies besides a locks. So that's all you need to run CSMM is a locks. But, CPM is a companion to it. So it's not required, but it adds its more functionality. You could have R.a.t and still use CPM.
Right.
We do.
Right.
Because CPM before was copies mod. Prisma took over copies mod, and then some stuff happened, and then he went private with CPM, and then he's not even really he's not actively developing it. He might he makes sure it's good for the whatever current version of the game is. And then he may or may not add something in if he wants it in there, or he likes the idea, but there's no active development on it. Because he was spending a lot of time doing that and not more in real life stuff like time with his family and other stuff like that. So he was like, I need to cut back on this. So yeah, so you could use the Botman API with CPM. You could still use, if BCM still worked, you could use that. You can use Panda with CSMM. It's just whatever trigger for those commands. So it doesn't have to be CPM, it could be something else, but that's the companion to it, but not required. Because CSMM without that is limited to what a locks can do. So, and that's how he wanted to keep it independent from requiring anything else but a locks. So, that's where that's at. I mean, you can, I would suggest always trying out your different options. R.a.t you would have to use remotely. It has to be run on a Windows machine. That's the only version. Especially if you're running your server on Linux.
Can it not be run in Wine?
BP, any input on that one?
People have tried it. I don't think it was successful. The only thing I can talk about is what I've done.
Yeah.
I haven't tried it, so I don't know.
And I never tried running it on Wine either, so I've only run it from Windows, either directly on the. Oh, I've always run it on the same Windows install that the server would have been in, so I just use it as a local and not remote. Now, that's not to say when I was running my server on Linux, I would run it on my regular machine and then connect to it and do stuff that way.
R.a.t with LGSM is really good because you get the restart after a shutdown automatically because it does that, and you get the backups. So it's the only I can edit the XMLs, so I'm not worried about doing that through R.a.t. So it works really well.
What else you got for us, Comet?
I mean, that's really the most part. I'm still, pretty new to all this stuff, so I'm working my way through it. My focus as of late has been a lot of modding, but
I would love to do a show for modding, but it doesn't seem like anybody's really interested in it right now. Like last week, we were supposed to have Kane on from Darkness Falls, but
right.
He messaged me Friday and said he wasn't feeling well. He's like, I'm gonna try and make it, but I don't know how I'm gonna be feeling, tomorrow. So he ended up, not feeling well enough to make it. And we will reschedule with him at a later point. Um, I'm just hoping more people would tune in and be here live, so we could get more interaction in the community, more questions and stuff like that. But I understand everybody's schedule, and we rotate the times to try and accommodate other people. Like Sam is down in Australia. I think he's Sydney time zone. So we did 9 o'clock, so it'd be like 11 a.m. his time zone. But he was unfortunately had other priorities to deal with today. So
yeah, that's no worries. I mean, a lot of the stuff that I'm doing for my server right now, it's every once in a while maybe I'll see like a nice mod pack or something like that. I'll download it and try it out, and the other half of the story is just me creating like nothing complex, just little bits and pieces. And like, so one thing that I did in our server right now is I created like a I don't know, it's do you guys know what a gotcha machine is, or like a gotcha thing from like RPGs? It's like you pay money for like you pay money for something. It's usually like a digital slot machine, and then you have a chance to win something, but you don't know what it is. So like that's something that I've done where I basically just like you buy a scratch ticket, you physically scratch it, it opens up as a loot box, and then in that loot box you have a chance to win a certain ticket. You collect a bunch of tickets, and then that gives you the ability to craft certain like OP items that I've made for the players. It's like it's a fun thing. It's nothing complex, but that's like eating up my time between working. So that's really my focus right now. But the server management side of things is something that I've had on the back burner to focus on for later as like a bigger project once I maybe do another wipe and then maybe transition to a different management tool.
Yeah, like I said, there's a variety out there, and my thing is test everything. Like what you missed earlier is I've done support for R.a.t, I've done support for Botman, and now I'm on the support team for CSMM. So pretty much whatever I'm using at the time is like, all right, this is what I'm using, I'll help out. Like I was very active on the forums in years past, so if someone had something about R.a.t, I was answering that. If someone had a question on Botman that I could answer, I would answer that on the forums. So it's definitely while they're all similar, they're all different at the same token. So, to find what you like the best, you got to try it. It's like, hey, listen, apple pie's my favorite, but, here's some coconut custard. I might want to give that a try. It's, this way you can find what best suits you and your community.
Yeah, I mean that sounds good and reasonable. So I think probably CSMM is going to be the next one to try.
How many servers do you guys run?
Well, right now we're only doing the one because I wanted to just focus on this one and kind of build it up. But I think Darkness Falls is in the future. That we're gonna host
with that one.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
And then maybe another more difficult 7 Days to Die. Right now we're playing on Nomad, and I've made it pretty like chill and easy for everybody. So this is the like no pressure, no stress server, and then later we'll bump it up with other ones.
They're gonna die on Darkness Fall.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I had so many people like, oh yeah, let's run Darkness Falls. Everybody dropped off like flies. I'm like, okay, you guys are weenies. Oh my god, they were such weenies. So
Darkness Falls. Well, but that's the thing, right? Like you have that small group of players that are like really hardcore. So once we get there, that's a nice addition because I like Darkness Falls a lot too.
yeah, it was a fun mod.
Yeah, I've been playing Darkness Falls probably since A15. Kane goes out of his way to make it very challenging, and
Right.
it's, and hopefully he doesn't listen to this, but it's probably my second favorite Overhaul mod, and that's only because there was one for Alpha 15 and 16 called Starvation, and a lot of work went into that, and I mean, you had steam power besides electricity, which was new then. Well, in fact, in A15 there was no electricity. That didn't come around to A16. But there was electricity, there was steam powered, and I think there was another type of power source in there. There's NPCs, like you would build certain things and you would attract NPCs. Like you could get like an NPC cook. So as long as there was like food in the refrigerator or whatever, they would make food for you.
Wow.
You know, and yeah, and granted the AI in the game it sucks.
Right.
Until they actually get around to addressing it. They actually did hire someone specifically for AI development, if I remember correctly. So, but Starvation was a great mod. They had these spiders that would chase you and they would not relent. They didn't have like, oh, I'm going to chase you for this long and then I'm going to stop. No, 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 no. They ran your ass down. They would jump. Like the first time you run in, I'm like, what the fuck is that? You scream like a little girl, like, ah! So, but they had alligators. They had, and this is before all the extra animals got added in the 7 days. So they had a lot of other stuff. And like I think you can make like a raincoat out of alligator skin, and it would keep you from getting wet. You had to sleep. That was one of the things. You had to like be on your bedroll or within certain blocks of your bedroll to get the rest, because you could go insane and you would just start laughing hysterically. They brought in a snake before TFP did. So they did a lot, but unfortunately, the one coder got burnt out. One of the team members actually died in a motorcycle accident, and that really hit everybody hard.
Oh,
like
no.
like I had interaction with him, and he was helping me out with a few things, and then it was like that weekend or the following weekend he ended up in a motorcycle accident, and that was it. So with him dying, one guy got burned out, and he's like, yeah. Now they still have a Discord, and people still ask about it, and there is still someone on the team that is still. He's not actively working on it because he's just too busy in real life. But, he said his plan is once it goes beta, then he'll start, looking into doing it again, because there's so much they had. They had a nuclear power plant that you would, if you found that, you could turn that on, and you could get spent uranium. They had an exosuit that you could run around and have like a machine gun on it. They had a lightsaber in there. They had Mad Mole as an NPC in there.
On
So
topic.
yeah, okay. So yeah. So much like the mods, it's now I'm trying to get back on topic. Now my brain doesn't work.
Should we reel him back in? I don't know.
Yeah, reel me back in. I keep telling you, people need to do that.
Well, we had to kind of stretch out this episode, so
Yeah,
you're doing a
true.
great job with that.
Yeah,
So we got 15 minutes left.
I can be very long-winded, especially when it gets to, the core stuff of what I like. Like I said, Starvation is my number one favorite because of what it had. Darkness Falls is a very close number 2. Kane does a great job with all that. He rewrote the progression file for that whole thing, which I need to take another look at because I don't like having attributes. Before A17, there were no attributes. There were just skills or perks, but no attributes. So we got 15 minutes left. What else can we talk about to end the show? We talked a little bit about best practices. We can go back to that. Frequent restarts, depending what you're running on and depending how popular or how busy your server is.
Don't go over 30.
Yeah, no, even 30 stretching it depending on your hardware.
30, yeah. I've had 30 before, and granted, I have no clue what my server hosts were running on, and that was always a little bit iffy.
Yeah, my the server I just threw up, I limited it to 21. This is the lowest I've ever had. I usually do about 30, but I limited it to 21. So besides me and my two friends, there's been I think 3 or 4 other people on it so far. Yay! Um, so and I did the first restart today because I don't have the auto restart set up yet.
I had mine at 30 as well, but I also recently just changed it back to 20 because 30 is like, it's the number that's technically possible, but 20 is basically the limit for pretty much everyone.
It is rough. It's slow.
Yeah. Now they did say they're going to look they're going to look into optimization for up to 16 players. So maybe we'll get up to 30 at that point. That doesn't run like crap. So we'll see. You know, it's all what TFP wants to do. You know, going into the 52nd year of alpha.
Or maybe they're just gonna lock it at 16.
Well,
That would suck.
Valheim locks it at 10, but there's a mod to go above that. But yeah,
Oh, is there?
yeah, the Valheim guys, the modding community there, while it's not officially supported like it is for 7 days, there's a lot of nice mods out there, and it's all done in Harmony the same way you would do a lot of stuff in 7 days when you need code implementation, you know, C# coding, not just XML stuff. Let's see, other best practices. Backups. You should back up regularly. Especially if you're self-hosting and you have the space. If I have a busy server, I back up every hour. Because if some twat waffle comes on and destroys shit, we only lose an hour. So
We do 30 minutes and we keep 450 backups.
that's because you're goddamn insane, Peter. Insane.
You guys are all so very nice. I don't back up shit. Been there, done that. I run wild.
Hacker fucks up the server. Oh, it's time for a wipe.
I don't get knock on wood, but I don't get hackers.
Don't say it.
Yeah,
I know.
don't say it.
Don't knock. I knocked on wood. I'm safe. I'm safe.
I'm
I
going
actually
into your
did-
server
I
and
actually
taking
did-
down Deshong tonight.
I know. I actually did have a one of the reasons why I stopped running the Darkness Falls is because you have to disable the EAC, and not my favorite thing. But I did get one hacker that I was kind of watching, like, that person has a strange name. Wait a second, why do they have? Oh, and then they pulled something from the created menu, and Botman went and got rid of them. So I will say Botman does its job very well.
Most of the time. The
Most of
new
the time,
hack, it doesn't catch it at all.
Well, knock on wood, but hopefully, you know, they stay away from me. Plus, I'm also not a PvP server, so PvEs don't tend to get targeted as much.
I've had hackers pop onto my PvEs in the past.
Oh, I'm sure they do, but they assholes seem to generally go over to the PvP side.
One of the things I generally do is block China and Russia.
Oh yeah, I do have China
already.
blocked as well.
Yeah, I block
That
them
is a good
automatically,
practice.
and that's it. You know, usually I've had in the past players from Australia, players from New Zealand, players from Belarus, players from Israel.
I get the Philippines and Brazil a lot.
I've
A lot
had
of
Brazil. I've had 3 or 4 Brazilians. Israel I had because R.a.t used to populate with the country flag, which was nice. And CSMM's supposed to do that. Sometimes it shows up, sometimes it doesn't. I will have to talk to Kata about that one and see what's up with that. So that you know, it's nice. I've had players from Mexico.
Oh yeah, lots and lots.
So I like getting the international players. That you know, to me that's like, oh man, I got people from all over the world playing on my server. I like that. I had I don't know, I think it was Aussies that were playing, and like they brought their friends. Now, granted, there's very limited Aussie servers. I know we had
Mine.
yes, yours, and there was someone else that used to run Aussie servers, but they ended up like deciding to shut down. But they had like over 5,000 players. Obviously not consistent, you know, not at one time. There's no hardware in the
over 30.
world. Yeah, not any hardware in the world can do that. Well, maybe, you know what, we don't know. We haven't tried on a quantum supercomputer yet. Maybe Silent can get hooked up with that. But he did try it on an Epic 128 core or thread server with like a gazillion gigs of RAM and still got the same output. And that's just because the game's not optimized, and it won't be until that won't start happening until beta. So that's where we're at with that. Any other best practices I can think of, or anybody else can think of?
Well, if you want to be thinking of like, oh, wait a second, there was a question somebody had earlier, and it was about removing vehicles from servers. What are other people's solutions for that? Because that is kind of a best practice, so you don't have a server full of vehicles.
We use the bot to handle that. I don't remember which one, whether it's CSMM or Botman, but one of them deletes vehicles on reboot.
Mm-hmm.
I think I think CPM has that function. I don't know if Botman does. It might.
Botman does too, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's in my XML though.
Back like in pre-17, before vehicles came in, use that shit at your own risk. But again, this is the first time I'm running a server since like early 2020. Like, and I mean like February, March maybe of 2020. I think is when I shut down my server. And I haven't run one all last year until now, so it's been a while. It's really been a while since I actually played. So I haven't come across this vehicle issue yet. And then if I need to, I nuke your vehicle. If you're lucky, I might be gracious enough to give you one back. But yeah, we'll see.
People can suck it up.
Use at your own risk.
I had some players helping me test a new pit design. I'm like, I need fresh meat. Who's going to help me? They died. But they got to hear me tell them, like, I feel like my job as a server owner is to get my players killed. I think that's my job.
I'm glad you don't run Dungeons and Dragons.
I'm evil. My GM hates me. No, he loves me, but he hates me.
Alright, let's see. We got a few minutes left. Any other off-topic questions that we had listed? We talked mods a little bit, best practices. Yes.
Okie dokie then.
I'll talk about that if you want.
My moves bring all the boys to the yard. No, I don't have moves anymore. I lost a lot of weight.
I got one.
A move or a question?
A question.
Go ahead, Peter.
Why is 7 days so damn sensitive?
What, did you hurt his feelings? Did you buy it breakfast the next morning? I mean...
Well, I maintain it, but it always gives me problems, and I think it gives everyone problems, but...
Because you're backing it up so often.
Oh, yeah.
You got to abuse it.
I do abuse it. I abuse it with Botman, and then it breaks, but...
It is an unoptimized alpha.
That is why I'm so like, if it works, I'm like, I ain't touching it. I'm not adding reset regions. I'm not doing nothing. And it works. It's a nice, stable experience for me because the more buttons you press, the more things you break.
Yes, it's stable experience for Karma because she's unstable.
Mm-hmm. There's only room for one unstable thing in the room right now.
She doesn't know what stable is.
I really don't. It's stable for the first 500 days, and then it slowly just starts to crap itself.
Oh, I have a mod-related question for the group. Does anybody know of any mod that adds animal husbandry?
Yes, but it's a DTM mod.
It's a DTM. Okay, so that is out. Yeah. There's no. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like on Darkness Falls, how they have the cows and stuff.
Well, yeah, like Darkness Falls has like the chicken coop, which would be great because then you don't always have to go in the desert searching for the bastard buzzards to shoot down and then knife to get your feathers.
They also added the pet cows and goats.
Yeah.
I added a chicken coop mod.
Is it all XML?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is it freely available to download?
I can let you have it.
You just want something that makes meat, right?
It'll make whatever you want. Mine makes eggs and feathers.
Yeah, that's what I think the
'Cause
one.
you don't
that,
care about seeing the actual model of the chicken, right? Is what I'm getting to.
I just used the doghouse.
Oh, sorry, I was talking to. I meant to.
Yeah, no, I don't. As long as I'm about
Spectral.
I'm about function. So if it looks like a burning turd, I don't care as long as it works.
Is there a model
I
of that
had
in the
traps
game?
for that.
They got rid of the turds.
Burning turd. I know that's just terrible.
I blame
My
I'm gonna
Magmol.
make
motto
shit
was
sandwiches.
so upset.
Because
Does
you could.
Darkness Falls have a horse?
Mm-mm.
Darkness Falls does not, but Medimod did. Medieval Mod had a horse. And it
Do
was
they use the vanilla texture for that? Because there's a horse model already in the game.
Well, yeah. So the models that are in the game that are not being used, Silence said I think last week that it's just the free stuff they got from the asset store, and they just I guess they're using it for testing it, for testing or whatever. So there's like a blimp in there he mentioned last week, and
Yeah.
but no one.
Shark.
Yeah, there's a shark.
Is there a shark?
Yeah.
We use that
I'm
as one of
hoping.
our donor items.
So I'm hoping further down the line, after they fix water in A21, that they add fish. I want to go fishing.
Oh, fuck fishing. Oh, I hate fishing.
You just hate fish.
There's a mod
No,
for that, for fishing.
I like fish. No, I hate fishing. WoW killed me on fishing. Fuck fishing.
No.
And apples.
Yeah, I would like to have more food in the game as well. Like put some apple trees in there, maybe some pear
Oh, God.
trees. Let's
Oh,
add
we
some
have that as
watermelon.
well.
They need
We
to
have
add
apple
pea.
trees.
I hate apple trees so much.
They need to add pea plants.
Yeah.
I modded that into the game too.
Mm.
Pea plants and peas, and you can make canned peas.
Canned peas. Oh, that's pretty nifty.
I can see that would be pretty easy. You could use. There's a lot of the icons you could tint green.
Yeah, that's what I did with the blueberry
Yeah.
plant and the blueberries.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fancy.
Yeah, that's pretty nifty.
Look what time it is.
Oh, it is that time. Okay. Well,
It
we
is
have
that
like
time.
2 minutes. Yeah.
The end time is upon us.
The end of
Um,
times.
I did make a companion app for R.a.t to search.
Oh yeah, I
location.
used that.
Yeah,
It's-
how is that?
it's-
You
It's freaking awesome, dude. Like, good
Awesome.
job.
What is it?
It's awesome. It's basically like lock track and who visited player, but outside of the game.
It's just a Windows app that you punch in a couple coordinates and hit enter, and it searches all the location files that R.a.t makes.
Yep.
And
Oh.
it
Tells you who
tells
who
you how
was
far
there.
away someone was, or
Oh, that's
The
nifty.
time, the player, the Steam ID, and how far away they were from that location.
Oh, that's pretty nifty.
you can use
I
it
like
with
that.
a live map. Is kind of why I made it. You don't have to be in game.
If you could
I do
integrate
the
that into
show
Alex,
inventory from bot for that so I can track bad assholes.
If you could integrate that into Alex, that would make it perfect.
Oh yeah, that would be awesome. But he would have to track.
Um,
Well,
Yep.
yeah.
I do want to make a map, build it into the app, but I don't know, and plot it out like CSMM does. I think they still do that, right?
Yeah, there
just
is
take-
inventory and location tracking. Yeah.
Yeah, there's no inventory tracking with R.a.t right now, so
You could just like for your program, you could just take Alex web map and like use an overlay because it has online offline players, inventory tracking, and all of that.
right.
Yeah,
The thing is, I think it would have to be connected to the server. It would have to be on the same machine. See what I'm
No.
saying?
R.a.t doesn't need to be on the same machine, so I don't know why.
Right, but
would
to
be.
pull the map and stuff out, it would.
so you could probably
No.
create
The
an
app would have to be.
yeah, because it would need a way to connect to it. Yeah.
Telnet.
Right.
That's
We'll see.
evil. We don't talk about Telnet. The first rule of Telnet is do not talk about Telnet.
It works for me.
All right. Anything else else we can talk about real quick, and then we'll just end this week's show?
Yeah, I think we're good. I'm good.
Yeah.
I just
Alright.
got that picture.
Alright, then let's see. We are at the 10:31 mark. I think we're just under 90 minutes this time around because I don't think I started streaming this until 10 after.
Right, we started a little bit after.
Yeah.
Well, we
But
gotta
that's
go
okay.
till 10:40, right?
If anybody has anything to talk about, we can. But if not, then I don't mind. All I'm gonna do is just see if my friends are still playing. Yep, they are, and I'll probably just jump back on 7 days.
You wanted to ask me about something? I think it was bot related. It was at the very beginning. Maybe you watched the recording.
I don't remember, but maybe we'll bring it up again because I like to go off topic. As Ozzy
You can-
says, I'm going off the rails on a crazy train.
Yeah, if you find out what it is, feel free to PM me and we can talk about it.
All right, I'll have to see what that was. But yeah, so I guess we'll end for tonight, and we'll do our next show next week. And Karma will post on Wednesday with topic suggestions for voting.
We need more topic suggestions.
Yes. We are open. If you have other suggestions, feel free to put them in the brain drain.
I have a suggestion.
Go ahead.
Like right now, this is all voice and little bubbles. How about we do like video and put that on the YouTubes?
Like what kind of video? Because no one
Of
wants
our
to see me.
faces.
No one wants to see me. I promise you that.
You are more than welcome to show your face, Peter.
Yes.
Oh,
My name is Spectral Force for a reason. I am a ghost. So, getting me on video will not happen. Maybe I'll put up an icon of some sort. But as far as seeing my face, because then you're gonna want to see me naked, and I can't handle that. I don't have an OnlyFans.
You can't handle it.
So, I'm just giving Karma all kinds of imagery now.
You could do like a talking
Thanks.
avatar or something.
I know. I was just
That
thinking
would-
because they had those on Steam where you can have you can do the rigging for your video cameras. They had them for Teams.
Right.
I'm kind of like, maybe I should buy that now because I want to be a cat. I want to be a lawyer cat. I'm not a
They
cat.
have an app for that.
They do.
Oh, Tom the Cat? Was it Tom the Cat that did that?
Yeah, something
I
like that.
don't
Yeah.
know.
That's the one you would speak into it or record your voice, and then it would repeat it back with the cat talking.
Yeah.
No, they
Yeah.
have ones nowadays where it will if you're talking on Teams, you can have look like a hamburger or a cat or a monkey.
Well,
or
Zoom
Burger
had
King.
that. Zoom.
Yes.
Some lady changed herself into something for some kind of meeting for work, and she couldn't change herself back. I remember hearing about that.
A lawyer who was in a criminal case who was used the laptop after somebody else had, and they used that feature, and so the judge had to point out that the lawyer looked like a cat. The best.
I'm sorry. If I was that judge, I wouldn't have said a word about it. I just would have let it ride out for that day.
It was amazing. All right.
All right. I think
We're on the
it's
time.
Yep. We are out of time. So we will return the vertical and horizontal back to the interwebs, and we'll be back next week with another show and more discussion. Again, if you guys want to talk about something that we haven't thought of, just put it in the brain drain channel, and just at one of us, and then we'll make sure we have it in the list. I don't know what else we could talk about as of right now, but next week is a new week. So
Sounds good.
Peter, Comet, thank you guys for coming out and participating. I would like to get more of the community involved, but I don't need to pull the end of a Jay and Silent Bob and show up at people's houses.
Oh, wait. We do have one thing. Bad player needs to discuss complimenting Crocs, I believe.
I don't see the problem with Crocs.
Right.
Does anyone
you
else?
Preach it.
I'll fight you.
Preach it. Do you put like bedazzle your Crocs?
No,
No.
no.
Come on.
I don't
Fancy.
even like wearing socks with them.
Socks and Crocs.
Mm.
That's almost like socks and
Socks and Crocs.
sandals. You can't do that.
Right.
Oh, we'll sock some Birkenstocks. Yes, that's a thing.
Yeah,
I
no.
would never do that.
No,
never.
no socks and sandals, no socks and Crocs.
I wear Crocs year round, except when the snow's deep.
Well, that's especially when
silent,
you're
though.
supposed to wear them.
What's
Silent.
that?
Silent will shovel the snow in Crocs.
Right.
And shorts. Can't forget shorts.
Here. Well, who doesn't do that?
So I know.
Yeah.
Okay. Press the
all
stop
right.
recording button.
And we are out like a fat kid in dodgeball.
And